Have those Marvel blues while Black Widow's theatrical release date is consistently delayed? Well, turn that frown upside down because yet another MCU podcast is here to guide you through the MCU one movie at a time.
That's right, Mike. Each episode we break down one movie from the MCU and talk about its connections with the source material, comic books.
Which means I get to learn so many fascinating things like about Alpha Flight,
The Canadian Avengers.
Who Knew, and Moon Knight.
A multiple personality superhero.
Seriously? And then there's Man-Thing.
Yeah, not really sure how to explain that one.
Pretty sure no one can. Yet another MCU podcast, part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Dave.
And join us every Thursday for a new episode of Two Player Bros, a podcast about two guys who play way too many video games. Join me and Dave as we talk about the latest in Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and VR news, previews, and reviews. We have it all, and we play it all.
And join us every other week for Post Game, where we play through and dive deep into our favorite modern classics and new releases.
That's Two Player Bros, available every Thursday wherever you get your podcast, part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
Boom!
I guess I like sports movies!
Yeah, like real creepy like. Did you notice him with his pants down?
Oh, with his pants down?
Yeah.
I just noticed somebody was there.
Yeah. No, his pants are down.
He's taking it down?
And I'm thinking to myself, I want to do the secret cabal stuff. I don't want to just go and drink.
You still got to wear a cloak and stuff.
No. I want the real cabal stuff. Like I want the stuff where we're controlling the world.
I want the signet ring.
You know what? Screw that. Hello, I'm Mike Field.
And I'm Mike Butler.
And you're listening to the Forgotten Cinema Podcast. Each episode, we highlight a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences. Whether it's because a more popular movie was released at the same time, or the movie simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the movie, or perhaps don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it. If you enjoy our podcast, please feel free to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. Woo! You do that often. You do the Ric Flair woo quite a bit.
Do I?
There's probably you could have a cut of reel of just your Ric Flair woos. Yeah, exactly. All right. We are in the beginning of season 7. Mike, what movie we doing and what it's about?
We're doing 1981's Thief, starring James Caan.
Did you forget his name
I
already?
almost said Michael Mann.
Starring Sonny from Godfather.
Starring James Caan and directed by Michael Mann. Frank is an expert professional safecracker specializing in high-profile diamond jobs. After having spent many years in prison, he has a very concrete picture of what he wants out of life, including a nice home, a wife, and kids. As soon as he is able to assemble the pieces of this collage by means of his chosen profession, he intends to retire and become a model citizen. In an effort to accelerate this process, he signs on to take down a huge score for a big-time gangster. Unfortunately, Frank's obsession for this version of the American dream allows him to overlook his natural weariness and mistrust when making the deal for his final job. He is thus ensnared and robbed of his freedom, his independence, and ultimately, history.
Nice. I mean, that's accurate, but that stuff towards the end happens like in the last 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah,
so.
I also don't know if it's necessary when you're just describing a synopsis to a movie.
This is true. So, Thief. All right, I'm done with that. Now, Thief has a runtime of 123 minutes. It's rated R, production budget of $5.5 million. I realized I leaned on that R like a pirate. Its release date was March 27th, 1981. It was a limited release. Most of these movies that were released around its time are also limited. I'm going to assume that in the early 80s, it wasn't much of a wide release of films back then. So its opening weekend, it did $4.3 million. Domestic and worldwide are the same, 11.4. So, I mean, it doubled its budget. It's probably a mild success, I would assume. Produced by Jerry Bruckheimer and Ronnie Khan and distributed by United Artists, UA. So, on the same day that it was released, the 27th of March, 1981, you had Eyes of a Stranger. Did you see that movie?
No.
Yeah, me either. The week after, on April 3rd, you had Atlantic City. I believe that's with Burt Lancaster. On March 20th, which is the week before this, you had The Final Conflict, which is also known as The Omen 3, The Final Conflict.
That I've seen parts of.
This is when Sam Neill gets himself in the office, or is trying to get in office. It's very vague. Like, I've seen it, but it's maybe like saw it once late at night, so I probably forgot about it. You also had Amy, The Postman Always Rings Twice with Jack Nicholson, Kelly, and then Cutter's Way. So I would assume that not many people know these movies, with the exception of The Omen 3 and The Postman Always Rings Twice.
That's the only one I've seen all the way through.
Postman Always Rings Twice?
Yeah.
Nice. So as Mike said, it was directed by Michael Mann. It's also written by Michael Mann. He wrote the screen story. He's got a double credit, screen story and screenplay, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Michael Mann has been nominated for an Oscar for The Insider for both directing and writing. He's also done the movie Manhunter, which is the first film that has Hannibal Lecter in it.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Cox plays Hannibal Lecter. William Peterson's in that as well as Will Graham.
Yeah.
Jeez, I just watched Hannibal too. He also did Heat, Collateral, which is an episode we did, and it's what
Season
made
1.
It's the movie that made Mike want to be who he is right now. And then
I like who I am.
And then the more recently, the movie Black Hat. He's also actually written and directed The Last of the Mohegans, Miami Vice, the movie, and he wrote Public Enemies, the movie starring Johnny Depp.
He created Miami Vice, the TV show.
He did, yes. The movie's actually pretty good, and I think we talked about the director's cut,
The
right?
director's cut is way better than the
which
theatrical.
I have not seen, so I should catch that. Now, this movie is based on a book written by Frank Hoheimer. It's called The Home Invaders: Confessions of a Cat Burglar. But unfortunately, that is not his name. His real name is John Siebold, and he is an American jewel thief. And he actually served as a technical advisor on the set of this movie while having outstanding FBI warrants against him for his arrest.
Nice.
But I should say this whole time out, I get that note, and then I see the other note where it says he was in jail when they shot this movie, so I don't get what to think here. But anyways, he went to jail from 95 to 2001, and he passed away, I believe, 2005. So we'll get into it, but it was based on a book. Cinematography by Donald Thorin. He has done Purple Rain, The Golden Child, Midnight Run, and Sense of a Woman. Have you seen The Golden Child? Have we talked about The Golden Child before?
Yeah.
With Eddie Murphy? Yeah. I like that movie. Composed by Tangerine Dream. They've done Sorcerer, which is another episode we did in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Firestarter, 3 O'Clock High, and then another movie we did, Near Dark.
That's right.
And we'll get to Tangerine Dream
It's
in
my
a second.
first note in the whole thing is we just keep on doing Tangerine Dream. We're going to do their whole filmography.
Well,
pretty
you know what?
soon.
I'll get to this then right away now. This movie was nominated for a Razzie for worst score of the year.
What?
Yeah, exactly. What are you fucking thinking about, Razzie Awards? I mean, are you kidding me? Unbelievable. That just come on.
At worst, the soundtrack is fine.
It's stupid. It's stupid the fact that they got nominated for that, and that really ticks me off. That's like haters gonna hate because something new. Because this was their first kind of big movie, or maybe their first movie, but they set the stage for a whole decade of music.
Yeah, this is clearly like an 80s score.
So the Razzies should walk that back. Like you said, produced by Bruckheimer and Ronnie Khan. Bruckheimer's done everything. I mean, he's done every big movie that you've seen in the summer. The 2 Top Guns, a new one that's coming out at some point and in the future. Days of Thunder. He Armageddon. Everything. He has done
franchise.
everything. Yes.
Gone in 60 seconds.
Ronnie Khan has done nothing. I apologize. Edited by Dove Honig. He was nominated for an Oscar for The Fugitive. He also did Overboard, The Crow, and Dark City, and a bunch of other films. Real quick, the cast isn't a big one. James Caan plays Frank. He won the Oscar for The Godfather. He also was in Misery, Rollerball, and then a personal favorite of mine, Honeymoon in Vegas. Tuesday Weld plays Jessie. She won the Oscar for Looking for Mr. Goodbar, and she's also in Once Upon a Time in America and then Falling Down. Willie Nelson's in here as Okla. His real name's David, I guess, because that's the name of their kid. So, and Willie Nelson's obviously country singer, balladeer, if you will. He's also been in Zoolander too, if that matters to you. Jim Belushi as Barry. I know Jim Belushi from The Principal. You may know him from Red Heat, Trading Places, Mr. Destiny, and he's in Undrafted, which is a movie that my friend shot and was also directed by Joe Mazzello. He was actually just in Bohemian Rhapsody, but he was also, obviously, he's Timmy in Jurassic Park, for those who don't know. Not that I really want to bring up a child, actor. That's his only credit. It's not his only credit. But anyways, Robert Prosky as Leo. This is Robert Prosky's first film, and he's 50 years old. First movie. That's right. Prosky's also in Broadcast News, Mrs. Doubtfire, Last Action Hero, and The Natural, which I love. Tom Signorelli as Ataglia. I think I said that right. Hide in Plain Sight, The Cotton Club, and then Dick Tracy. Dennis Farina makes a brief appearance as, he's got a name too, Carl, who doesn't say much. He's in Get Shorty, Snatch, Manhunter as well, and Midnight Run, which is awesome. And then actually we talked about William Peterson. He has a really small part as the bartender who gets pushed around by Frank when he tries to stop him. And he is in CSI. He plays Gil Grissom in the CSI TV show. Like I said, he was in Manhunter. He's in The Contender, and he's in the Mark Wahlberg Let Me in the House Fear. If you've ever seen that movie. Remember that one? when he's dating Reese Witherspoon, and Peterson's the father of Reese Witherspoon. He's sitting there. There's a man, just come on, I just want to come in. Let me in the house. And he's at on the commercial. You don't remember
I
that?
don't remember that one.
Oh
at
yeah.
all.
Oh yeah. That's a early 90s. It's got to be early 90s. Yeah. Wow. I thought you saw that was like a classic trailer thing. Like everybody knew about when you saw it because it was just so ridiculous.
I'll have to check it out later. Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell.
All right. So I always like doing the older films because there's a lot more going on there. I think, I don't know. It's just nice to go back. You have never seen this, right?
Nope.
Hit me with it. Let's go.
Well, it was a movie.
Nice.
No,
Nice.
it's really, really good. I would say some parts are a little cliche. Story-wise, it's a little cliched, but James Caan's performance is incredible. I
Yep.
think his performance really elevates the movie to like a tier above general crime flick. And every scene he's in, he's incredibly interesting to watch because, at first you watch him and you're like, this guy's a jerk. I'm going to be rooting for this guy. But then you learn about his life and, the monologue in the diner scene and all of it. It's just his performance really glued me to that screen and made a otherwise more mundane kind of by the books thriller something I can see why it's part of the Criterion collection.
Well, that scene that you're talking about in the diner is obviously what this movie's known for. Not the whole dialogue scene, but the monologue when he's talking about how these guys want to turn him out and all that stuff, and just kind of like what he did. And yeah, no, it's really good. And it's almost, I don't know if I'm a big Tuesday Weld fan in this. I don't know if maybe just in that scene, sometimes I felt like she was doing something different than he was. But that's his intensity. That's Caan. So I can't really kind of knock her for that. That's just how he is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I also feel like she was probably given direction that didn't end up jiving all that great.
Maybe.
Like, now be sad. All right, now be happy. Now be mad. Now be she just the gamut of emotions she goes through.
Right.
There's no lead into those emotions. It's
Right.
just all of a sudden, which is very kind of. And this is a movie made in the 80s, but that's very kind of early 70s, 60s.
Of course, yeah.
Woman with her man being upset by her man kind of mentality.
Oh, her man. He shouldn't want to be his man.
She says it later. You're my man. When she said that, I rolled my eyes.
So, well, tell me, because there's a bunch of things I want to talk about in terms of what I really liked in the movie, but I'm curious, because you brought it up, I'm curious the cliched stuff that kind of bugged you. Well, why don't we dive into that?
It didn't really bug me, but I was able to. I could see how the movie was going to end a mile away, kind of. In terms
Really?
of, I knew Oakland was going to die. I knew he wasn't getting his dream. I knew as soon as he saw the collage paper, that was I thought he'd be burning it by the end of the film. I was like, he's setting that on fire by the end of the movie.
Right.
Yeah, I figured he'd get when the girl's like, I don't want you. Clearly, he's going to end up with her. As soon as the mob boss was like, hey, work for me. I was like, all right, no. And he walks in, I'm like, well, he's working for him.
Right.
And then I knew as soon as he got the baby, I was like, all right, now he owes the mob boss too much. And now that's going to be the film. The only thing that it wasn't anything like too big, but I was surprised about is the cops that are chasing the mob guy.
Oh, they're the worst.
They're not actually trying to investigate him. They're trying to find new people to be on their take, which is interesting.
They're terrible. Like the cops are so like that
They're
one.
so
Sergeant Urizzi, I'm going to talk about him right now. Sergeant Urizzi, he's actually a consultant on the movie as well because he was a real thief.
Okay.
So he was one of the guys that was on the film. I can't remember John something. I should have wrote it down. But anyways, I was like, the whole thing, I was like, can you tie your tie? Can you just tie the tie the right way? That is and I'm thinking, you're a cop? You were the most lazy. It's the laziest cop I've ever. Oh, it's terrible. It's just terrible.
To be lazy cops.
I know.
They're like the corruption of like a Batman cop cranked up to like 25.
It's a little much, but granted, once I read that he was an actual thief and they had him in the movie, they'd put him as a cop. I was like, all right, I'll let it get a pass because one of Michael Mann's thing is obviously crime movies, but also putting real life people in there. We talked about, this is off topic, but we talked about in Friedkin's movie Sorcerer how they actually brought an arsonist come down to blow up that tree. Like similar thing here. So the stuff that Caan, well, you know what? I'll go into it. The stuff that Caan uses. The tools that he uses to crack the safe in the opening are real safe crack. He was trained by these thieves on how to use them.
I figured, knowing Michael Mann, I was just
which is awesome.
at the beginning of the movie, I'm like, he's really cracking that safe. Look
They
at that magnet.
So that safe, they bought that safe for the movie. It's a $10,000 safe, and they bought that safe specifically for Caan to break into for the opening of the movie.
Don't mess this up. Caan.
Right.
I don't want to buy it.
He is breaking into that safe for real. He's not. That's all legit. That he does. He's doing that. That's awesome. I don't know. I love that. Even the scene when he's using the giant rod.
Oh, you could tell that's real.
That he
Even if he's not the guy in the suit.
Right. He's that. They're really using that. They're really burning that through the which is another great scene. But let me ask you this about cliched stuff.
Yep.
It's a 1981 movie.
Yep.
We have this discussion all the time. This movie predates a lot of the movies you've seen already. So do you think that it's unfair to say it's cliched because it's come before a lot of the movies you've seen?
Nah, they've been doing movies about thieves since the 30s and 40s.
I get that.
It's a different dialogue, same storyline. It's the storyline, the general storyline that I find cliched.
Sure. Well,
But like I said, the performances and the way it was filmed, because it's got a lot of Michael Mann in it as well, obviously, but it's his first film. There's a lot in this film in terms of how they made the film and the acting in the film that elevates it above it. It's just the storyline I find cliched.
Well, I think there's always that philosophy or that thought process that there's no new stories. All the stories have been told.
Right.
And it's your job to hide that or elevate it, as you say. But I'm probably not as negative as you are. I know you're not negative. I'm just saying I'm not as down on it as you are. Just because like I had not my problem, but I found myself getting a little antsy and bored during the scenes with Jesse, with his wife. Well, they were never married though. They're just together.
No, they got married because he
Did
calls
they?
it his wife. I was wondering that too. I was like, when
They
did she
skip
get
a lot of
married?
time. Yeah. So, but I get it. They're building up his relationship with her, just his kind of trying to have that life.
Right. They're
which is-
building his collage.
Right. And that's all good. I'm not knocking that. The reason I think why I was antsy is because I really loved the casing of the joint. I really loved the breaking in scenes. I loved all that so much. I was so like into that that I think in the other stuff just is like, no, I don't want to see that. Kind of like in Empire Strikes Back. I always hated the Dagobah stuff. Right? Dagobah one, is that where
Yoda?
Yeah.
You hated the Yoda stuff?
I because it was boring, because I wanted to watch. Mind you, I'm a teenager when I'm watching this. Well, I'm not that young, but I always wanted to watch the action. I was interested in the other stuff, and then but I get it. That stuff sets up. That's necessary. You need that stuff.
I got
you know what I mean? Yeah. But I was always riveted in the breaking into the stuff, just casing the joint, trying to figure it out. That stuff interested me. The opening, when he breaks into the safe in the opening, they could have done that entire scene without any dialogue, and I would have been okay. They did. They had a couple things like, we ready to go, we good, and they walk out, and that's it. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Rafifi. Have you ever seen that?
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, so it has, why I'm bringing it up? It's a French film, and it's about a heist. But when they do the heist, so the whole movie's going on, and then as they do the heist, it's 45 minutes of no dialogue. It's just them doing the heist. And it's like, and you don't care because you're into it. Like, you're all about it. I think that, like, that kind of idea, like I would have loved the opening, and it kind of does it for a little bit. They do say like a couple words here and there, but why bother? You don't even need to do that, because it was riveting just watching it, I thought.
I mean, I guess. They're just saying, "Are you ready?" Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, I know, but
they're not in the same room. How else would they know?
True.
But no, the beginning of the film is just excellent. The way it's shot, I put a note that it's classic Michael Mann, like nighttime realism, although it's not quite on the level of Collateral, because you have to light the scene. But the way that rain's coming down and the way he's showing these alleyways and the camera movements going down and the spotlight shining in the rain and highlighting these kind of grimy parts of the city in a way that's very real and down to earth, almost kind of French Connection-y.
Yeah.
Just kind of this ugliness of the city.
Well, these cities in the 70s and 80s are not what they are now. They're not
I know.
clean and
they're
you're
gross,
not like,
right.
like New York City all the time. This is Chicago that we're in, but in New York City or Times Square was not a place you wanted to hang out, but now it's like a tourist attraction. Yeah, absolutely. He had a 60,000 water gallon truck on set at all times to wet down the street for every shot.
He's got to have that neon and the light, the fluorescence highlighter. Classic man.
I thought I enjoyed that quite a bit. So the other stuff, because I want to get back to like some of the riveting stuff. Like the dialogue scene between, yes, the diner scene's fantastic and his story is awesome. And the way he tells it, there's in that scene, like, I don't know how you feel about when you watch actors perform, major monologues in movies, but while I enjoy like when they get emotional and maybe there's tears coming, I actually like it when they're not and they're fighting it. And it's almost like they're fighting back emotion. Like Caan, like, that, he could have tried to take a turn where he gets choked up a little bit or he tears up. And I guess that would have been all well and good, but it's a little bit more impressive when that emotion's there underneath and he's not letting himself go there. And you can see that as he's doing it. I don't know how you feel about that.
No, I thought his monologue is so good. Like I wrote the word astounding in my notes. Like it's a monologue you should show to acting classes or acting in film class. Like it is, like you say, he holds back his emotion, but it's the undercurrent still there. But at the same time, you get this, you feel that he says at the end of the monologue, I don't care about myself. I don't care about anything else. There's nothing I care about. And you got to be that way. And it's like, you absolutely get that. And if he had choked up, if he had gotten too emotional, he would have ruined that end line. And within that one monologue, his character like inside and out, like boom, you're good.
Yeah. And even in that monologue, when he talks about, they want to turn him out, he tells them how they take one new kid, they bring him upstairs, they gangbang him. If he fights, they just beat the crap out of him, put him in the infirmary, put him in the nut house, he says. And he says that he talks about how he fights back but then like he says like, and then, they jump out, a bunch of guys jump on me and they did a bunch of stuff like and he doesn't go any further. And you're sitting there going, oh, what stuff?
What stuff?
Like you're just immediately like, oh, what stuff? Oh, wait a minute. Is he? But it's kind of like, you're right. It doesn't affect him. It's nothing. And it all sets up the ending. And I found it a little bit striking that he decides to just burn it all down, just to blow everything up and burn it all down. And, you know what I mean? I thought I was like, wow, okay. But it makes sense.
It's to stick it to Leo.
Right. But he's like, hey,
he's getting
rid of everything.
You got your job, you got your family, you don't got nothing no more. And it's like, he's like, I got nothing. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
He throws away his collage at the end. He's just sticking it to. He's not doing that for him.
No, I know.
He's doing that for Leo.
Yeah.
Although Leo doesn't get to know that because he kills Leo. Where Leo probably learns it.
His wife didn't care. Leo's wife's just like, I'm watching my shows.
I love that. She just looks all tired. She's like, guess it's time.
No, absolutely. But also, I wanted to talk about the scene when Leo first meets Frank. Their back and forth is really good. Like the dialogue, the quick, just how they're talking. Like when they start talking business, and they kind of start like feeling. You get a little like Sonny from Godfather there a little bit, and I think it's tough to not get that when you're watching James Caan perform. But when they start talking business and he starts hearing them out, you see how the conversation grows and it kind of starts in the middle and then he goes back to the car and then Leo's with him on the car. And next thing you know, they're pals and they're talking and they're just going back and forth, back and forth. I thought that dialogue was really, really good.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get the sense that, Frank wants to work for himself. You get the dialogue right off the bat. You don't get any kind of pretense. You don't get any kind of overly dramatic. Because again, James Caan could easily just kind of go over the board. Like, I told you no, or like this, he goes, I told you no. Like he keeps everything at this calm level. Although he does swear at him, he does like berate him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He stands up to himself. He does it in such a calm manner that it's like, you don't mess with that guy. It's almost more dangerous that he doesn't ever really explode.
Caan's working with a lot of tools here in this movie to the point. So the scene when he finds out that Okla dies, and he says, and the doctor comes out and he's like, he's dead. And Caan made the decision to just stare at him, like just coldly stare at him. And I guess because I had this note, because the doctor's like, you okay? You want to sit down? And I'm thinking to myself, why are you saying that to him? You just told him his buddy's died. Why would you? But the actor got legitimately scared at James Caan staring at him, that his reaction is real. So, but it just shows you that awesome. Caan is working with on a different level, not like always better than everyone here. No, he's just working on a different level and using a lot of tools at his disposal. And it's tough because James Caan's always going to be known for
Sonny and the Godfather.
Yes. and it's a great role, and he won the Oscar for it. But this movie is one of his proudest. This movie, that scene we keep talking about, the diner scene, is one of his favorite moments that he's ever done.
He just tweeted about it. We're recording this September 11th. He tweeted about it September 9th.
Yeah,
tweeting about Thief.
But he's always known for Godfather, and people who only know him for Godfather, you should watch this movie because I don't know how you feel.
It sounds like you're making an argument for it being forgotten cinema.
Well, obviously. Well, I'm just saying that I think that.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the acting that James Caan does. Hey, if you're a Michael Mann film, you should watch this film.
Yeah.
Because you get a lot of like early stuff that you see cross over into like stuff like Collateral and Miami Vice and Heat. But James Caan's performance in this is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And it might take a little while for you to get there to the diner scene. It does take about 25 minutes.
It's not that far though. But yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah.
Like at first you'd be like, oh, well, he's just a thief. All right. And then you get that diner scene. And then everything out from there is very personal and very interesting. And you suddenly can watch every little thing he does as trying to peek behind the veil.
Yeah.
It's just awesome.
And it's funny because you have a Jim Belushi who's not a Jim Belushi like everybody. This is his first film. And he's playing, he's not jokey. He's not, fooling around. It's a straight role. And it's funny. It's weird, but it's good. It works. I mean, he's great.
Yeah.
It's just, not that I'm saying he couldn't do it, but it's just, I know people would know him from obviously his later stuff some of the stuff I said, like Mr. Destiny and stuff like that. So, but in this, he's just, almost, I don't want to say straight laced because that's not the term, but I don't know. What's the term? I don't know what the term would be.
Oh, straight laced.
I guess. But
it's a straight part, right?
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah.
He was in Twin Peaks as a mob boss. I
never watched
in the reboot.
Yeah. Oh, really?
In the relaunch one, the new season. He's really good as that too. I also noticed Jim Belushi doesn't really age.
He's got those genes, I guess.
Yeah. But no, he's very good in this role.
Yeah. So before the diner scene, when Frank goes to get Jesse out of the bar, the Cats and Jammers bar, which I guess is a real bar, I think. I know the bar that he owned, the Green Mill, that's a real bar.
Not anymore.
Well, no, it was a real bar. Well, my note here is that's quite an exit he had out of that bar. So he threatens the bartender who's going to hit him with it, who comes over and tells him to stop yelling at Jesse, and he shows him his gun, threatens the bartender, rips her from the stool, drags her outside, punches a dude who's minding his, who's trying to butt in, nearly backs over people, causes an accident as he's driving out. I'm like, geez, that's quite the exit.
Yeah. That scene I wasn't particularly fond of.
Oh, really?
I thought it was kind of out of character. This is a guy who's trying to lay low. This is a respectable businessman, so to speak. He's got a bar in town. He's got a car dealership in town.
Right.
And he's going to go around making a big scene like that.
Well, I think he says it when he talks to Jesse about when he wants something, he goes and gets it, and he wants her. And he tried it with another woman, but
he didn't tell her the truth about his job.
Right.
So it ended up deteriorating.
Right.
But he waited until he was finally divorced to go after.
Well, they were dating a little bit, but then he just, because they were going out for dinners and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So then he just said finally, that he just wanted what he wanted, and that's he went for it.
I'm a stand-up guy.
I like the wedding proposal. So we're gonna get married, all right? That's it. Me and you are gonna get together. No, that's it. That's what's happening. Yeah. It's like, all right.
No.
Another scene that I really liked in this movie was when they bribed the judge. Did you notice?
Oh, and the hand signals
with the fingers. So the judge puts 8 fingers on his cheek because he wants 8,000, and then the lawyer's like, "No, judge," and he puts 4 fingers. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. What are they playing baseball over there?
Right, picking his nose or something?
His nose, yeah, that's what
I'm trying to listen to this. Yeah, no, I actually like that scene. What do you think about I know that the subplot's in there to get the kid. That really feels like the kid is just another part of his collage, but it's also to kind of how he gets in with Leo. Like Leo kind of owns him, like you say in the beginning.
Right.
What did you think about that whole subplot about getting the kid?
I didn't mind it. I do like that the kid just seemed like something he could have. Again, he's just filling out his collage. It's not something he cares about because he doesn't care about anything.
Right. Well, see, I think he was starting to care about stuff.
I think he was. I think he was too. But you only get that toward the end. But I think, you do get the sense that the kid was something else. At first, it was like, let's just have a kid. Oh, then we'll adopt. He just wants that collage. But when he goes to the adoption agency and that lady berates him for having been an inmate and saying, oh, you're not good enough. And he's like, you want my watch? You want this? He's like, he's got a lot of money. And then he tells her, I was born in the state system. I've looked at those walls. He's like, I don't care what kind of kid. You want to give me a black kid, a Chinese kid? He doesn't care.
Yeah.
It's like, you look at those walls and you suddenly think, I'm nothing. And I want to take a kid away from that. I'm not nothing. And I think that scene is really powerful. And again, gives you a little bit more backstory on Frank. And I think at that point, you get the sense that it becomes more than just filling out the collage. Now the kid means something to him.
Okay. Yep. Yeah.
But I think that scene in the adoption agency is really good.
You like that scene as well?
Yeah. But then again, like you said, it also helps serve up now Leo owns you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You shouldn't have taken that deal.
So Michael Mann's first choice to play Frank was Jeff Bridges. How do you feel about that? Obviously knowing Caan knocked out of the park is kind of difficult, but
yeah, it's tough.
This is Jeff Bridges pre-Starman, because Starman's 84, I think.
Yeah, this is pre-Starman.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never seen Bridges play a role like this, but Jeff Bridges is great in every role he's in.
He would be good. I think it's tough to
yeah.
compare because you've seen a performance that's you can't picture anyone else doing it.
Right.
Absolutely. I understand that. So you talk about we've talked about how he blows everything up at Danny, which he burns like 5 cars. He doesn't blow up the entire
I was thinking the same
dealership.
thing. I was like, you're out of gas already?
That tells you, well, we didn't own the dealership. We didn't build this, so we can let you do the cars. That's fine. So he blows up the house at the end. So that's a real house. They built a fake structure in front of the house to blow it up, and it was but they used too much, and it damaged the real house and cracked the foundation of the real house. So they had to demolish the house, and they had to send all the neighbors and obviously the residents of the house to like a hotel because it damaged like some of the neighborhood as well. So it was not
Nice.
a little too much, but still
Whoops.
it's a nice explosion.
Yeah. I'm surprised they blew up the storefront too. I was like, what about the stores on the sides? Is that a soundstage?
I don't. There's like a really quick cut. They did it with the house too. So they have a shot of the house, and then right before the house blows up, there's a quick cut.
Right.
And then so I think they did that with the Green Mill, but I think the Green Mill they just blew out the front. I think kind of like in Die Hard with a Vengeance when they
the
open,
beginning.
they just blow. I think they just did that. That's how they're supposed to be usually. That's how they do them. This is obviously Michael Mann's first feature film. That Mike brought that up. It's also his only film to be shot 1.85, to be shot flat. So it was easier to do that way or something. I don't know.
That would be my guess.
Yeah.
And then it became a bigger, so he's like, no, we're going scope.
Yeah. I'm going to want to do scope here. Sorry.
Something that surprised me was that Willie Nelson, although he plays Okla, the old man, quote unquote, he's only 48 when he did this role.
Wow. Man, I'm 45. I'm 3 years away from that. And I don't
3
look
years
like
away from being the old man.
Nelson.
It's
Yikes.
like time was different back then.
Oh, of course.
James Caan's only 41, even though he looks like he's
Well, look
50
at
something.
Robert Prosky, like I said, is 50 in that. He
Yeah.
doesn't look 50 in that. He looks like he's like 65, 70.
Definitely 7. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just how it is.
It's just crazy to me.
Tough living. That's because we eat all the preservatives, I think.
Yeah,
Which
preservatives.
I'm fine. I'm all about the nanobots in my body now. All about that. Kids were yelling at me because I was like, I want to get nanobots. Ew, no. That's what I
You're
want.
getting nanobots too.
Inject me. Listen, if you're looking for test subjects out there, I'm willing to do that. I don't know how we got on that. I have a note here that says that James Caan did not want to use contractions in this movie. He tried not to say can't or don't because he thought that Frank would say everything out and slowly so that people would understand him once. He wouldn't have to repeat himself. Now, I didn't get that from the performance, and like 15 minutes in, he goes, ow, which is a contraction. So
Yep.
I was just like, okay, that note. I love these notes sometimes suck.
I ain't gonna say no contraction.
Yeah, exactly. But in the beginning of the movie, after the robbery, he's walking on the waterfront and
Yeah.
he gives the sandwich to the old guy. That is an awesome shot.
I have that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that shot's classic, man. That's like, but that man knows how to compose a shot.
That silhouette in the front of the water, they're clearly on Lake Michigan.
Yep.
It's just,
blues and the pinks.
and I'm sitting there going, that's not green screen. That is a great, great shot. And I feel like, when I saw it, and I've seen this movie before,
Mhm.
but when I saw it, I totally forgot about that shot.
I forgot about it until you just told me. I have a note about how good the shot is.
Yeah.
Because what's weird is that guy never comes back
No.
into the film. Like I thought maybe he'd see him again, or that would be like where he goes to have like his peace of mind.
Probably.
But it's just this
yeah.
real quick shot. I would wonder if there are deleted scenes where he's in it a little bit more.
Maybe. I mean, he only does two robberies. But you get he says he does 2 or 3 a month.
Right.
So you get the idea that after every robbery, he goes and has a coffee and sits at the side of the water at, late at
Plans the
night.
next job.
Right. Or
Right.
just sits there, whatever it is. Whatever that's when he winds down. You get that idea. But yeah, no, they never really go back to that. They never really, I mean, the movie's 2 hours, so I don't know what you're going to do in terms of, yeah. No, absolutely. So I know I always ask who you suggest this to or why we think it's forgotten, but I'm going to start off and say who would I suggest this to? I think that like wannabe filmmakers should see this movie.
Sure. Wannabe filmmakers.
Well, you know what I mean.
Aspiring filmmakers.
That's wannabes. Pardon my language. Aspiring filmmakers. People that actually, you know what? I don't even want to say that. Aspiring storytellers. I like storytellers better than filmmakers because no one makes film anymore. Michael Mann's style is not for everybody. Some people just don't like kind of like crime fiction or true to life or real life people, shading your movie. But it's when you watch a movie and you don't know who's directing, you can pretty much know it's Michael Mann by what the movie's about or what's going on in the movie.
Right.
That's rare for a lot of people to do. I mean, there's way too many filmmakers and storytellers out there who will create generic stuff. And there's great people that can go within each genre and they can work in different genres and that's fine. But there's still always you can still see their talent coming through. So, I mean, Michael Mann's not going to make a romantic comedy and I wouldn't want him to. This is definitely like a movie that people who just enjoy great storytelling, enjoy just the combination of acting and writing and directing and cinematography. This is not a perfect film, but this is a perfect film to watch, to have this discussion about it. I mean, we've been sitting here talking about the look of the movie for I don't know how long we've been talking. So right. That there's a reason for that because it's chock full of all that stuff, and it's great. I know a lot of times it's funny because all our episodes they always differ. Sometimes we're just ripping on the movie. Sometimes we're laughing at different things and stuff like that. But sometimes there's movies like this where we're really into the making of the movie and just everything that goes into the movie. Caan's performance, Mann's talent, the cinematography, the music. We're all about that right now.
Right. Everything's
yeah. And I think that's something that should be a warnings for people. Not warning. Geez. It should be a beacon for people who want to be aspiring storytellers to watch something like this because you're not going to learn some tricks, but you're going to see how it could be done.
Right.
I don't know how you feel.
I think it's good to watch. I think that there's some stuff maybe 80s wise in terms of lighting and stuff like that you're not going to do now just because things are different now.
Like what?
Like just how you would light a night scene and how night's going to look. Mann now wouldn't go back and do something exactly like Thief in terms of lighting. He would go digital and go with his lights, natural light, because that's kind of more his thing now.
Well, what about Collateral? Collateral was all digital, so
right, and he tried to light it as naturally as possible, and that's how he lit Miami Vice. And...
Well, I kind of compare this. I think this movie aligns itself along with how Collateral looks and is shot.
So do I. It's an evolution of it.
Yeah, because I don't.
As an aspiring filmmaker or storyteller,
you can use filmmaker.
Fine, I'm going to use filmmaker. As an aspiring filmmaker,
how
I'm going to
dare
look at
you?
it that's how I'm going to light it.
Yeah,
because that's very throwbacky. But you still like some of his movements. The fact that he uses the real things. You watch a Michael Mann film about a thief, and you know that he had a real. You didn't even have to tell me that, and I figured a real thief was doing that. They're actually that safe they cut into is they're actually cutting into that safe.
Yeah.
I'm watching them cut into that safe.
Yeah.
And you know that he did his research with actual criminals or the people who did all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because he does that for all his other films. And I think that's really, really impressive. I think that if you like Michael Mann and you watch stuff like Heat and Miami Vice and Collateral, you can go back to this and kind of see how he got there. In terms of acting, you look at James Caan and you look at his performance. And like you said, you're not going to maybe learn something. They're not teaching you lessons, but you can pick up some stuff. You can see some pointers and see that's how that should be done.
Right.
Figure out how to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you feel. I mean, I know how you feel, but when I see something or when I was growing up and I was like, oh, I want to make movies and stuff like that. I don't know why I'm saying it like that, but you there are movies that you watch and you're just like, wow, man, I want to do that. There's just things and I think Thief is one of those movies in terms of the grittiness, and also the idea of he really broke in the safe. There's just a lot of different things. The diner scene. I think older movies and maybe in indie movies as well now. I like that everything's not perfect. Everything's not perfectly lit. I don't mind like everything looks grainy or dirty or like even because when he's doing that scene in the diner, you hear the cars and the trucks underneath them driving around.
Right.
And I'm fine with that. Like I'm going to bring it up again in Jaws when he's talking on the phone in his kitchen finding out about the girl getting killed and they're all talking in the background and Close Encounters when the kids are screaming and he's building the Devil's Tower out of mashed potatoes. Like I like all that because that's how it is. It's messy. Life is messy. And there's too many, there's a onus on making everything too perfect now. And then granted, that's not a new thing. That's been around forever. Like some movies just always want to have the perfect time and perfect moment. Everything's perfect and everyone sounds perfect and nothing's, messy or dirty. But like, that's, I think, why I gravitate towards movies like from the 70s and 80s and maybe independent films now through the 90s, where it was just like, pick up the camera and go, let's get, you know what I mean? That where if you're riveted on screen and the image is not perfect, that's because the acting, the directing, the writing is all great, and that's why you're riveted like that. And
that's like when we were watching 3 Days of the Condor,
right? And
they're filming in New York, and you see all the people like, what the hell's going on? And they're walking by.
Yeah,
it's like because they're just filming.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I think. Do you think this is forgotten?
I had never known about it until now.
Until we brought it up.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about it when we did Collateral, right? That's why we put it on the list.
Briefly touched upon it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we put it on the list, I think.
No, you didn't put it on the list till way later. This is a newer edition. Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe we forgot about it. That's why.
But I think it's forgotten. I think that as time goes on, again, even though the acting and performances are great and the way it's filmed is cool, the story is kind of cliched. And since then, there have been so many other crime films, so many other Michael Mann crime films too.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about Michael Mann now, you think about Heat.
Yep.
As much as I love Collateral, the one you think of is Heat.
Well, you think of
Vice.
That scene in Heat. You think of the big scene in Heat. That's a great scene. But yeah.
Which scene you talk about? The shootout?
Oh yeah, when there's no music and
the
it's
first
just
thing I ever think about is the conversation between Pacino and.
Oh yeah, no,
I love that. Which is again another really subtle acting piece.
Wasn't that I believe that was the first movie that they were on screen together, and that's why it was a big deal.
Yeah.
Which it was a big deal and it was great.
Yeah.
But they were. I know everyone's like, well, they were in Godfather 2 together, not together.
Yeah.
But yes,
40 years different.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
But no, I think that some of his other films kind of outshine this in terms of memorability, in terms of general audience.
Michael Mann.
Yes. And I think that, like you said, James Caan, everyone thinks of Godfather.
Did you see Rollerball? Have you ever seen Rollerball? I'm surprised you haven't.
I've only seen parts of Rollerball.
The older one, not the new one sucks. The old one.
Only the old one. I've never seen any of them.
You should watch it. It's a sci-fi movie, basically. You should watch it. You would like it.
But also, this is really hard to get.
What, Thief?
Thief?
Yeah, I know.
But it's not, again, when they make it a movie that's hard for audiences to see.
I hate that.
That also doesn't make it easy. Like, can't get on Netflix. Hulu, it's only available on Cinemax as of this recording, which Cinemax is absolutely impossible to watch unless you watch it on your laptop on a web browser.
Oh, what is it? What Max Go? Yeah.
It is not on any app. It's not on Roku.
You would think that would roll. I mean, I don't know. I didn't look, but it might roll into HBO Max.
I would think so because they own it. It is not right now.
No, which is stupid.
So it's like
you hear that, HBO?
You can't rent it on Xbox. You can't rent it on Amazon. You can't rent it on YouTube. You can't rent it on PlayStation.
Yeah.
It was nearly impossible to get. It is on the Criterion Collection.
Listen, I don't want to go down where the video store roll. I do that too much. So yeah, no, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But where are the video stores?
Yeah. Luckily, this is on the Criterion Collection, so you can get it that way.
Right.
But yeah, when they make movies like that, and it's not even that old, but when you make movies this hard to get,
it's kind of hard to share it with people.
They become forgotten.
Yeah.
Like time forces them into that.
Yeah, and I think the Criterion is it 4K? No.
It's restored a little bit.
Yeah.
Like this looks good.
Yeah.
I thought, for a movie that was forgotten about, I was expecting a lot of pops and grain.
Yeah.
But no, this is cleaned up.
Yeah. No, it's
spine 269 or something like that.
691, I thought, or 591 or something like that. It's somewhere. I don't know. There's really no discussion about. I mean, I think the only thing that we differ on is you have a little bit lower of a like of the cliche plot device and the plot points.
Right.
I don't, and that's fine. I think we both loved Caan in this. We both love Mann. Prosky's good too. He's a real jerk. Ooh, he's a real jerk.
All the acting is really
Yeah.
well done in it.
Yeah.
As ridiculous as the cops are, I do really like the scene where he's getting beat up in the interrogation
They're
room.
beating the crap.
And every cop in the entire station is there.
Yeah, like 5 of them. Why can't you just give us what we want? Yeah, and that Prosky says that. Excuse me, Leo says that to him.
Just play ball.
Yeah.
You don't even let the cops take a thing. You can't do things the way they're meant to be done.
Exactly.
Where are they tossing Belushi's body, by the way? Where are
I don't know. I don't
Someone,
know.
like, what are you
Are we
dropping
supposed to assume that's acid or something? He did tell him that
they? Can't be
they'll
water.
be eating pieces of you and somebody's meat. Like he's gonna make them hamburgers.
So Wally's burgers, he'll make them into burger meat.
Yeah.
I don't
So
think they're there.
are
I
they?
don't think that's where they are.
No idea.
Yeah.
No idea where they are. I thought it was like it sounded like they were like a cannery or a fish place, like like one of those fish
I
nurseries.
didn't know, but maybe they're dumping them into the goo from Roger Rabbit. I know.
Remember me? I won't do it. I promise. It would be nice to have this movie so that when you talk to people about it, you'd be like, "Here, borrow mine," because
Exactly.
it's
It makes
a
it hard
pain.
to put it on a podcast episode because we can't tell our audience to go
Well,
check it out.
go get it.
And in between, they probably weren't able.
Well, they
to
can
watch
rent
right
it. I think they can rent. Like I know on Roku you can rent it off the Roku channel.
now. Oh, can you?
Yeah, there was like rentals. Fandango, you can rent it too. I think.
Oh, I didn't see that. I didn't go through those two routes.
Oh yeah, no,
I just went for Cinemax on Roku, and I was like, all right, it's not there. And then I went PlayStation, Xbox, YouTube.
So we have different
Amazon.
Roku players, right? Because I have the voice one.
I
you-
could have typed in.
Oh,
Thief
come
in
on,
my
then
search
you should
bar
have.
then.
Because
Yeah,
I always
I
just
should've.
search by the voice, and that's when and it just gives you the list. So you could definitely rent it somewhere, but in terms of like an easier place to get it, no, you're right. You're correct. You're absolutely correct. Ugh, yeah, but it's awesome. Watch the movie. It's awesome. We loved it. Or right? Yes? No? Yeah, we loved it.
I very much enjoyed
Excellent. I like that. You're like a politician there. Well, we're gonna stay in the 80s. Oh, you know what? Screw that, Mike. Where can everyone find us?
You can find us on ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com, part of the Forgotten Entertainment family, which means you can find us on ForgottenEntertainment.com. You can also find us on the social medias as Forgotten Cinema Pod. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're more active, I think, on the Instagrams and Twitter. the most part?
Yeah, I try to engage. I mean, Facebook is just basically share.
Yeah.
In there, I know people sometimes get it through there, but and Twitter and Instagram, there's more of an engagement going on. A lot of people respond and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's me responding. And I think for this commercial, we're gonna break into a safe.
Awesome. So yeah, check out our commercials every Thursday. Let us know what you want, what you guys think of our movies, and as well as what you guys would like to see. We'll put it on the list. We recently had somebody reach out to us. We put their movie on
Oh,
the
that's
list.
right.
So,
Yeah.
we do. It might take a little while to get to it because our list is a bajillion movies deep, but we'll get to it.
Yeah, we did a whole season of audience choice, and I think we're trying to just get some of our choices in there now, trying to, because we have a big list, we got to get through it. Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to be staying in the 80s next week because we're going to be doing Oliver and Company from 1988, and it's a kids movie, and I've never seen it.
You've never seen Oliver and
Never
Company?
seen it. Never saw it. So
I've
we'll
seen
see.
it twice.
Really?
Yeah, it's not
I know
one
you-
I've owned.
You the one you put
I
this
put
on
this
the
on
list,
there, yeah.
so that's fine. So we're doing some kids movies next week.
Right.
One kid movie. So we'll see. Hopefully I like it. But who knows?
The music's good.
Okay.
I honestly don't remember much of the movie. It's about dogs.
That's fine. Dog's gonna die in this.
Not that I remember.
All right,
no.
that's fine. All right, good.
Otherwise, I wouldn't put it on the list. Otherwise, I would remember it as something to stay away from.
Really tough. Really tough. It's like when you watch a horror movie and you see the dog, you're like, oh, here we go.
No, I think the dogs are fine.
Yeah.
It's not all dogs go to heaven.
No, well, yeah, obviously that kind of that's a spoiler title there. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week for Oliver and Company. I am Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
This has been Forgotten Cinema.
Who the fuck you to talk to me, all right?
Oh man, I forgot that's my favorite line. Is like, I'm sorry, does someone else walk in this room? I
when he's
love
like-
that line.
I will never take a pinch from you, you greasy wop motherfucker.
I'm sorry, someone else. I love that line. Damn it, I forgot it. Should have brought it up.